the Grace Melman Community Library presents Storytime. Parents and guardians, please be present during Storytime.
Hi everyone, I'm Johnny from the Grace Melman Community Library, and this is our December holiday Storytime. We're going to get started with an opening song, Snowflake, Snowflake in the Sky, to the tune of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Ready? Let's do it. Snowflake, snowflake in the sky, love to watch you floating by. Down you fall upon the ground, down you fall without a sound. Snowflake, snowflake in the sky, love to watch you floating by. Let's do it one more time, all right? Snowflake, snowflake in the sky, love to watch you floating by. Down you fall upon the ground, down you fall without a sound. Snowflake, snowflake in the sky, love to watch you floating by.
Hi friends, I'm Miss Pam, and this month is December. One of the holidays we celebrate this month is Christmas. So today's story is Rudolph, Rudolph. Ready? Rudolph, Rudolph, what would you do? You can't guide Santa's sleigh if your nose is blue. Rudolph, Rudolph, you're such a silly fellow. Who will know it's you if your nose is yellow? Rudolph, Rudolph, Santa gave a wink, but what will he say if your nose is pink? Rudolph, Rudolph, it's time to fly at night. You can't get through the snow if your nose is white. Rudolph, Rudolph, it's time to go to town, but you can't help Santa if your nose is brown. Rudolph, Rudolph, Santa has his sack, but you're not ready if your nose is black. Rudolph, Rudolph, the children are in bed. Now you can go because your nose is red. Bye. Hi friends, I'm Miss Pam, and this month's story is The Magical Christmas Store, written by Maudie Powell-Tuck, illustrated by Hong Yang, read with permission from Tiger Tales, an imprint of Penguin Random House. Benji's grandma had always said, "Magic happens on Christmas Eve." This Christmas needed some magic. There wasn't enough money for a tree or even a turkey, and everyone felt a little sad. Benji passed dazzling stores and excited shoppers. "I wish I could buy my family spectacular presents," he sighed. That might make them smile again. But Benji's grandma was right about Christmas Eve, because when he turned to go home, a ginormous polar bear ran right into him. "I'm sorry," the polar bear cried. "I'm late for work." Benji scrambled to his feet and gasped. A huge, glamorous store had appeared, shimmering in the frosty air. "This way, sir," said penguin doormen, tipping their hats. Benji blinked at the sky-high Christmas tree, the snow falling lightly from the ceiling. "It's real magic," he marveled. And for the first time that Christmas, Benji felt excited. Toot toot! A shiny steam train puffed around the corner. "Hop on," grinned the polar bear. "Let's find those presents." They raced along a golden track, spiraling higher and higher. Benji's head spun with candy canes, lights, and sparkly ornaments. All too soon, the train stopped. "Here we are, the room of silly sounds," said the polar bear. Boing!
Powie! Yuma yuma ting tong! Hannah would love this, Benji thought. It was crazy and loud, and it would make her laugh. Benji blew a funny-looking, twisted trumpet. Flippity flap! Excellent choice, sir, enthused a flamingo. Your sister will be thrilled. But I can't afford it, said Benji. I only have a few dollars. Dollars? Trilled the flamingo. We don't want your money. Sing us a song instead. The sillier the better. Benji sang the silliest song he knew, and had everyone in stitches. Goodbye, Benji waved. Thanks for the trumpet. Who's next on your list? Your grandma? Asked the polar bear. We have to find something very special for her. Next stop. The Room of Imaginary Gifts. It was pretty empty. There's nothing here, said Benji. Sir has to use his imagination, drawled a leopard store assistant. Benji closed his eyes, imagined hard, and then opened them again. The room bulged with extraordinary gifts. Genie lamps, treasure chests, bejeweled suits of armor. But those weren't right for Grandma. It has to make her feel wonderful, said Benji. Then he saw it, a most magnificent imaginary hat. How much, please? He asked. One exceptional story, said the leopard, packing the hat in a box. So Benji told the finest tale he could imagine and left the leopard purring with contentment. The final present was for his dad. It had to be just right, Benji explained. Sometimes my dad feels sad that he can't buy us very much. So when he opens my present, I want him to feel happy. I want him to feel loved? Asked the polar bear. The polar bear took Benji's hand and led him into a room filled with fabulous smells like cinnamon, chocolate, and crackling fires. Try this, said the polar bear, opening a jar labeled Excitement. Benji sniffed and whoosh! He was zooming along a roller coaster. Let's try another, he laughed. One sniff of a jar labeled Summer Vacation, and he was on a beach breathing in the salty air. They smelled jar after jar, all amazing, but none was right for his dad, until the last one. It was a small jar labeled Joy. Benji sniffed. It smelled like family movie night on the couch, like walks together in the fall, like a hug from the person you love most in the world. Benji left the store with his bag heavy, his head full of magic. Goodbye, goodbye, waved the polar bear. Back home, Benji couldn't stop looking at the presents. Someone is excited for Christmas, said Grandma at dinner. Hannah and Benji woke up very early the next morning. It's Christmas, Hannah yelled. Grandma made a special breakfast, and then they decorated Dad with garland. But when it was time to pass out the presents, Benji paused. He had an empty hat box, a twisted trumpet, and a small jelly jar. These presents weren't spectacular. They were terrible. But then Hannah laughed as she blew her trumpet, and Grandma pranced around the room in her new hat, trilling, Darling, I've never felt so wonderful. Dad sniffed the jar and beamed. It's wonderful, Benji. Everyone hugged. Benji had given them the best presents money can't buy. They all felt happy. They all felt loved. And Christmas was magical once again. The end.
Hi everyone, it's Johnny again. Thank you so much for joining us for our winter story time. It's time to say goodbye with 10 little polar bears to the tune of 10 little Indians. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little polar bears, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little polar bears, 7 little, 8 little, 9 little polar bears, 10 little polar bears on the ice. How do you keep warm, little polar bears? It's cold where you live. Little polar bears, how do you keep warm, little polar bears? 10 little polar bears on the ice. Thank you again for joining us. I hope to see you next month at our Lunar New Year themed story time in January. Bye!
Thank you for joining us for story time today.